The clip it on something or just hold it in my lap?
Just holding it up, be fine.
Do I turn it on?
It's on.
Oh, okay.
You're being recorded right now.
Look, we dressed alike.
I put tape over mine so I wouldn't mute it. So you ready for this?
Does that got music to go with it?
Yeah.
My nose is itching.
All right. So, hey, I'm Kenny.
I'm Jessica.
And we have been married for
A while.
18 years, is that right?
Will be. No. We get married.
Since 98.
Yeah. 18 full in December.
Okay. And by no means do we have all the answers to dating and relationships, but we've got a pretty good idea about what makes a relationship work. So we're going to answer some of the questions that you came up with. How come when girls think that they found the one, they get blinded from the way they feel and ignore the signs that she is getting used or cheated on? Would you translate that for me? I didn't quite understand that.
Okay. When girls think they found the one, why do they get blinded from the way they feel and ignore the signs that you're getting used or cheated on?
You just read it.
I know.
Yeah, I got that far.
Figuring out what it means.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes, I guess, when you think you have found the one or somebody you really like, you may be oblivious to other things, that are going on. And sometimes this is what your friends can see. Maybe certain things happen or he treats you a certain way that you tend to overlook or you don't think much about, that your friends or others can kind of point out to you that, hey, this is going on and that doesn't need to happen. So this is sometimes when you get some help from your friends and realize that most friends are going to be there to help you. You might not like what they have to say, but they're going to be there to help you. That's most friends. Does that clear it up a little bit?
Sure.
Like when you become oblivious, it's like you've got tunnel vision. You think like, I like this guy, and you're not paying attention to what's going on. Else you don't really see those signs that, hey, this is not right. You're just kind of focused in on that person.
I like this part of the question. It says, why do girls like bad boys better than guys that are so much better for them? I can't answer it because I'm not a girl, because I'm a bad boy.
Okay. And I think it's because you end up thinking, it's kind of a little bit of a danger type thrill to think, I like this guy because he's, kind of, how do you say that? Living on the edge, kind of dangerous. Be careful. If you see somebody living on the edge dangerous like that, you need to pay attention. You do need somebody that's going to treat you right, treat you like a princess or a queen. I'm old, so I can be a queen. Is that okay? Does that sound good?
She's old. She can be a queen.
41.
Yeah.
Queen Jessica.
I think even for guys sometimes want to go out with the girls that are known to be, for lack of a better word, trashy. Just a girl that would be willing to do whatever. And guys, there's something inside of us that wants to go for the things that are taboo. There's something inside of everyone that knows what's right and what's wrong, and you want to get to the edge of what's wrong without getting in trouble. So, and a lot of people are silly enough to think that they can change a person. And I've seen a lot of people get hurt because they're like, well, I know he's a terrible person, but I can change him. Don't think you can. If you've got to work to change a person to make a relationship work, you're not in a relationship. So that's a no-no.
And something else, looking at this one, as far as liking what this person said, like a bad boy, someone maybe with a reputation or something, you're going to get sucked into that. And whether or not anything happens, you've got rumors going around, and those can follow you and hurt your reputation. So don't do it. That would be cool to date this guy or that guy. Look for the qualities on the inside. Be careful when it comes to that, because that can get you in some bad trouble.
Well, and at some point you're going to get tired of being known as a person that goes out with a trashy person. And then when you decide to straighten your act up and go towards a person that's proper for you to go out with, they're not going to want to have anything to do with you because they know that you've been hanging around those people. My father used to say, if you run with the dogs, you'll get fleas. If you surround yourself with things that aren't good, even if you are still good, you're going to appear to be not good because you're hanging out with that. So, yeah.
So just be careful, because you've got to think of the far-reaching effects, the consequences of this, not just for a short time. It can keep going.
Okie dokie. Moving on to our next question.
I will read this one.
Okay.
I'm a reading teacher. How do you know when you are with your forever soulmate? That's us.
Okay, first of all, that's funny. And the reason I say it's funny is forever means eternity. And Jessica and I are married here on earth. We won't be married in heaven. That's not scriptural. So, wah. She's really looking forward to heaven because we won't be married. And she, hey, what's up, Samson?
Too much hair.
Yeah. How do you know when you're with your forever soulmate? And I know what you're getting at. How do you know when you're with that person that you're going to marry? And there's no set of rules to knowing when that happens. It's not we went on 12 dates and I paid for 11 and she paid for 1 and it was just meant for us to be together forever. It's a lot like a salvation experience. For those of you that are not saved, this still ain't going to answer that question for you. But when you receive Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, there's not a trumpet that blows. There's not a signed affidavit that says this is from God and you're now mine. You just know it inside. There are certain things that you just know. It's like knowing right from wrong. You know, your parents probably don't have to go, now don't go kill anybody tonight. If they do, call me. We should talk. But you know right from wrong. And so there's something inside of you that just understands it. And so when you're with that person that you're supposed to marry, you will just know it. And the sad thing is people are in such a rush to find that person till they step into bad relationships hoping that it would be the one. And you can end up getting hurt really bad doing that.
And take it from someone who has trouble making up her mind about anything. When you give it to the Lord and just let Him handle it, that clears it up. Because I have trouble deciding where I want to eat, anything like that. But when it came time for Him, I had given it to the Lord and said, okay, Lord, whatever you want, that's what I want. And once you give that to the Lord and let Him take care of it, it will fall into place. And I hate to say the answer, you just know, but you just know.
Well, and just for us, and as an example, there's a question on here that asks, what was dating like when you started dating Kenny and you started dating Jessica?
The 90s.
Yeah, we tight rolled our jeans, and she had really poofy hair. But when we were dating and we got to, into a relationship, you know how I feel about falling in love. You can't fall in love, you can fall into a ditch. But love is a relationship, and it takes time to develop a relationship. And after we had been dating for a while, our relationship had advanced. And it was just one of those things where the reason I realized she was the one that I was supposed to be with is I couldn't imagine my life without her. And I'm not just saying that so she'll let me stay inside tonight. That was true. I looked for reasons that I could go see her. We lived 23 miles apart, and I cut grass for a living and was a youth minister. And she was working at a daycare, and then she started working at a school once we were engaged, I guess.
Before we got engaged, yeah.
Before we got engaged. But, we didn't have the opportunity just to run into each other every day. But I would consciously make an effort to drive to Calera to see her every chance I got, just because I wanted to do whatever I could to spend time with her. And that's part of developing that relationship. So, it got to the point to where it was time. You just felt it. And I went and was in a car accident, not intentionally. I was in a car accident when I first started working at West End and got a insurance settlement from it. And because of that insurance settlement, she got a ring. Yeah. And it was one of those things where, with one of my friends, I said, hey, I need to go buy a ring for Jessica. And good friend Vinny took me and Richard up to Birmingham, and we bought a ring out of the back of this guy's car.
Oh, thanks.
But it was, I just knew it was meant to be. I knew it was time. I knew she was the one. And a lot of folks say, well, there's not just one person for you, but I kind of think there is. I think that God has a person for you.
And he would do things like show up at a ball game that I was working.
Yeah, yeah.
I still have the paper he wrote me. And just little things like that. So that was, and when we were dating, that was the late 90s, well, mid to late 90s. And so it was, and we were older.
Yeah, and that's a big difference too, because we had a little more life experience. No offense to any young people watching this video, but there's a whole lot to life. There's a lot that makes up your life. And the section that you're in right now is such a confusing time because you got hormones going crazy. You're getting influenced by everything that comes across your television. If you watch any television or any internet or anything like that, everything you see just catches your attention. You're in the, ooh, check this out mentality. And that's part of finding out who you are, but you can't base decisions off of that, ooh, ooh. And so when that guy walks in, and girls, you see him, by the way, guys, you go out with girls. Girls, you go out with guys. Don't get it twisted. But when that guy walks in and you see him, young lady, and you go, ooh, you can't just think that's the one. It doesn't happen that way. There's no such thing as love at first sight. There can be lust at first sight, but it's not love because you haven't developed a relationship. So.
Oh, I have a question for you.
Oh, here it comes.
So we started dating when I was 20 and you were 24?
Yes.
Okay. Back that up about 4 years. You were 20 and I was 16. Will we have dated?
Good. Glad you said that. Here's one of the questions.
I'm going to teach you to speak later on, too.
How much of an age difference is okay?
You didn't answer my question.
Well, I'm going to, probably. What was the question again? When I was 20 and you were 16?
Would we have dated?
No.
Why
We
not?
were at two different stages in life. When you graduate from high school, you step into the world, whether mommy and daddy are still paying for you to go to college or whether you're actually out working and making your own money, you're in the real world. If you've got a job, you're really in the world. If mommy and daddy are still taking care of, everything for you, you're still a little sheltered, I guess. But when you're out in the world, it's different. And it wouldn't have been fair for her at 16 years old for a 20-year-old to be dating her because he would be robbing her from the high school experience. Because she wouldn't have felt right going and doing some of the things with her friends because we were in a relationship. And I would have been extremely selfish because I wouldn't have wanted her to go hang out with those kids.
Because I was getting ready to go. I just graduated high school, getting ready to go to college, and
She
you were
graduated high school a year early.
you were in the real world. So it was. We were at two. At that age, we were at two different stages of life.
Yeah.
Because you were like an old guy, and that would have just been weird because you've been like the next decade, and so that makes a big difference. Now that we're like 112 and 108, it's not quite as.
Well, and the older you get, the less that number difference matters. I will say it's kind of weird for me to think about being 45 years old and dating someone that's in their 30s. That would be weird to me, just because when you're 10 years apart or more, what do you really have in common? That to me, that's a big thing about relationships is you need to be in a relationship with someone that you have something in common with. And just because you both have legs, that's not really enough for you to be in common. So that was, and Jessica and I, we didn't have a whole lot in common, I don't guess.
Well, we worked for the same person, kind of, for a little bit.
We did.
Mm-hmm. That's how
we worked well, and we had friends that were common between us.
We did.
So that was one of the things that we kind of helped us.
We had older and younger friends that were common between us.
But like we said, we were older when we started the process.
And it was different, but we had also kind of grown up. I guess we were a little older, and there's like 4 years between us. So
she was a nanny for a family, and I was working in their yard, and I saw her, and I said, "She will be mine." or something like that.
We would like watch y'all work in the yard behind the curtain.
That was back when my belly wasn't bigger than my biceps, so that was back in the day. I used to be an athlete.
So it's kind of interesting because
Man, I used to be awesome. I can see why you fell in love with me.
oh, I know I did. You and your muscles and your shorts.
My shorts, the old sugar britches. Yes.
So we were at that stage, in life where I was out of school and was I in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in college. So, like different and then working. So it was not just the high school, because had I been like 13 and you were 17, that would have been quite awkward.
Yeah.
But my dad would have said no and wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to pick one.
Okay.
Is dating something I have to do? It's not a commandment, is it?
No. It's not a commandment.
And it's not something that just because your friends are doing, you have to do it. No. Like within my circle of friends growing up, I had a friend who she dated just a few guys. She wasn't one to keep dating. And then I had some who dated a lot, but it wasn't something like you have to. I enjoyed hanging out with my friends. We had a lot of friends, guys and girls that were in a group growing up. So we did a lot of group stuff. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for taking us everywhere. And so we enjoyed that. We did a lot of group stuff first, but no, you don't have to date. And don't rush into it. Enjoy being you. You've got time, because then you get older like us and we get to talk to people about it, don't you?
That's right. When I was in high school, I had 2 dates in high school. I dated 2 different people. I had 2 dates in high school. One of them was to a football banquet and one of them was to the circus. So I didn't date in high school, and my reason for not dating is completely different than the right reason. I'm very self-conscious, and we didn't have money. I didn't have a nice car. I've always been a big guy, and so I always just felt like there's no way anyone would ever go out with me. So I just intentionally wouldn't put myself out there because I didn't like being hurt. The football banquet thing, all of my friends were taking somebody, and so I had a good girlfriend, and I asked her if she would go, and she said yes. And as we were driving home that night, Mother was driving us home, and of course she's smoking up a storm. Not the girl I was going out with, but my mother. And the muffler was dragging the road. So as we were driving, there were sparks flying out behind the car. It was very romantic. Yeah. So, dating to me, I didn't date in high school, and then when I got in college or out of college, I didn't make it through college, but when I started working and I started having some money, I was interested in dating, and my life had changed. There had been a lot of change about me, and so I wanted to start dating. But then I got to the place, honestly, where I didn't want to go out just to go out. I could save my money instead of going and spending it on some girl that I had no interest in developing a relationship with. So there's nothing that says you have to date. And the pressure for dating, unfortunately, some of you sitting here watching this, your parents are trying to push you into dating. And that makes me sick. It really bothers me that parents are trying to force that on their children, because some folks just aren't ready to date. And that's fine. That's fine. If you feel like you're ready to date, I want you to think about that sweet num-num and think about when he dumps you or when she dumps you. Are you ready to handle that? Can you deal with rejection? And if you can go, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all that she hates me, I guess you're ready to date.
And it's one of those things that you'll go through ups, especially girls, you'll go through ups and downs, and you will like a guy or whatever, and then something happens and you will cry because you hear that song, and you will cry and cry. And then you get older like this and you look back and go, well, thank you, Lord, that was over. And don't rush into it. Enjoy being, you. Enjoy having fun with your friends, different things like that. And it's not the end of the world when you get dumped. I dated, throughout high school. Looking back, if I could go back now, I think I would be a little more particular, knowing what I know now. But most of the guys I dated were really nice. So that was cool. You get to meet, a lot of interesting people. You realize what you like in a guy and what you don't like in a guy. You even sometimes drag your best friend and your brother along on a date. That's interesting. But you can really enjoy it, but don't rush into it. You've got time. Like I said, we were older when we started dating. And that's something, as far as like an age when you want to start dating, talk to your parents. And they never really set an age for me to start dating, because we did so much stuff in groups. I guess one of the first times I went out on a date with somebody who like wasn't from my school or something, I said, okay, you know, he called and I said, well, I got to ask my mom and dad. And here I was. I mean, I was older, but that's the thing. I said, I still valued my parents. I lived at home, you know, I had to ask them. But pretty much when I was younger, most of my dates met either my mom, my dad, or if they were out of town, some of them got to meet my grandparents. That's interesting when they pick you up at your grandparents. And I said, hi, yes, I'm ready, but I need you to come meet somebody. And I look back now and I understand my parents, you know, doing that. Because I don't want to try to hide who I'm dating from my parents. I'll tell you, your parents know a lot more than you think. Don't try to hide something from them. They have your best interest at heart. So just...
And that's always one of the most intimidating things is, guys, when you go to meet her parents for the first time, when I went and met her parents for the first time, her father was not at home. So I met Miss Carla, and she's just one of the sweetest people in the world, and she was very, very nice and just bubbly. And I guess you and I went out on 2 dates before I actually met your father. And everyone had been warning me, you better watch out for Mr. Mike. He's a bad dude. And I was a musclehead. I mean, I was 5'11", weighed about 240, and I was just stacked like a whatever you stack. I don't know.
Building blocks.
I was stacked like building blocks, like Lincoln logs. But I can remember going up, and he was standing on the back porch. And their porch was about 4 feet off the ground, and so I was walking up. But as I walked up, I realized he wasn't that much taller than I was. And I got to the top step, and I was thinking, well, this guy ain't that big. Because everybody would say, he's a big man, he's a bad man. And he had on a pair of black, like... fatigue pants, like BDUs, and a black T-shirt. And he said, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me and said, hey, how you doing, sir? My name's Kenny. Because I'm a polite person, and my mom and dad raised me that way, and I appreciate the fact that he is an adult. And so I said, hey, sir, how you doing? My name's Kenny. He says, she's inside. Just go on in. He didn't say, I'm fine, my name's Mike, or any of that. He just said, she's inside, going in. And so I said, oh, okay. And when I got to the door, I just felt really uneasy for a second, so I just kind of stopped, and he was right behind me over my shoulder. He said, go on in. And I was like, yes, sir. And so I opened the door and pushed it open, and there was a machine gun, literally, hanging over the back of their dining room table chair, one of their chairs. So there's a gun hanging there, and then there's a bulletproof vest laying in the floor, and then there is a bulletproof helmet, I guess, that was sitting over there as well. So I walked in, and I saw that, and I thought, this is where I die.
We had different decor.
Her father was in charge of the drug SWAT task force for a county, and they had just been on a raid. And so, you know, when you watch the show Cops and they show him kicking in the door, that's what her father did. He was in charge of the people that did that. So I walk in and there's guns. I was scared to death. So he said, what are y'all doing tonight? And he hadn't smiled yet or anything. And Miss Carla's just kind of standing off to the side because I think he had probably said, let me handle this. And her brother just came through and shook his head, just like, But he said, what are y'all doing? I said, well, we're just going to go get something to eat. And I had been working. I was a yard boy, and we worked until it got dark. So it was probably 8 o'clock before I got to her house. And I said, we're just going to grab something to eat and just kind of hang out. He says, okay. She needs to be back by 9. And I said, yes, sir. And she goes, oh, Daddy, he's just kidding. He's just kidding. And I said, no. I said, we will be back at 9 o'clock. And it was a respect thing. Guys, teenage guys, I know you think you're all that. I know you think you've got it figured out. But that girl's parents, you need to respect them. And if they don't want you to date her, this isn't a Romeo and Juliet. This is not a Shakespeare thing where, oh, our love is bigger than... No. You got to respect what the parents say. Now, there will come a time where, as an adult, you can make up your mind. But until you're out on your own, paying your own bills, you don't really get to make the final say-so in it.
And for the most part, I mean, okay, my parents had my best interest at heart, and I knew that. And so, did I always agree with everything they wanted me to do? No, because it was those other people that meant I couldn't go out on the weekends sometimes. It wasn't, they trusted me, it was just those other people. Those other people ruined my life growing up. But as a parent now, I do see why Mom and Dad said, no to certain things. But at the time, I had my license, I was like, why can't I go here? Why can't I go to my friends? Why can't I? I understand that now. So you may be a little older before you understand why your parents say certain things, say no to certain things. Just roll with it.
What was dating like when you started dating Kenny? Well, we
thinking.
got the horse and buggy out.
We went to the singing.
We would go to the all-night singing.
No, that's too much. When we first started dating, I went to a hockey game.
First date.
Yeah.
Met her friends at a hockey match.
Yeah, I knew they were going to be there just in case I needed somebody to talk to. So that was interesting. Okay, girls. Okay, when the guy asks you where you want to go or what you want to do, have an idea of where you want to go. I don't know why. See, that was one of those things I couldn't make up my mind about, like decision-wise, where to eat.
We'd have a week because we would go out once a weekend, and so you'd have a week to figure out where you were going to go because one night we would just stay at her house and watch swamp buggy races.
Oh, yeah. You got to think, if the guys are working, unless mom and dad gives them a whole lot of money, if they're working, that's hard-earned money. So don't always pick something, because sometimes we do movies and dinner, and that's a whole lot of money. Even back in the 90s, it was a whole lot of money. So just keep that in mind. Have some, somewhere you want to go, something you want to do. Don't do that. I don't know. I don't care. We do that now that we're married, though.
Yeah.
I do that.
And one reason, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Well, that's okay. Go ahead, dear.
One reason that you want to have something in mind, and guys, when you're planning a date, have something in mind, because if you don't have anything in mind to do, you'll probably end up doing something you shouldn't do. So you need to have a plan on what you're going to do.
And it does not have to be something huge. I remember just sitting there coloring, watching TV. That was, and it didn't cost a whole lot of money going to Hardee's because that was the only place to eat in Calera. We had fun when we got older and started back dating. Yeah, we did this like 3 times.
Yeah.
So 3 little episodes.
Broke up, dated, got married.
Fault first.
It was my fault.
And I got him second time.
That's right.
Third time we were even.
I won. She's mine.
Yeah, that is true. But we started dating. We did go out with friends.
Mm-hmm.
His friends.
I don't have any friends.
You did.
Who?
Did.
My one friend passed away, so I don't
It
have
was with
anybody
Richard.
anymore.
There might have been some more. But we did now, and it was a big age difference too, because some of my friends were younger, and then Kenny's a whole lot older than me.
And when she and her friends would get together, it was like watching the Gilmore Girls.
So, but it was, and he did treat my friends nicely, so that was.
Most of her friends were scared of me because I was a musclehead.
They thought you were good looking too. They liked your muscles.
Hey, boy, are they disappointed now. Oh, what happened to Kenny? Boy, you ruined him. You married him and he fell apart.
No, and it's funny to look back at those days.
Looking back.
I will tell you, we could stay out and up as far as, stay up late on a date and watch TV, swamp buggy races.
We could have. We did.
Not now.
No.
When you get older, by 8 o'clock rolls around.
I'm surprised she's still awake.
It's getting close. I made
6:30-ish right now, and she's sitting down. She's got this condition when her hiney hits a chair, her eyes close. So we've been using some super glue to hold stuff up. But yeah.
But have fun when you're dating. Don't spend all the guy's money. Like I said, he worked hard for it. And show interest as far as to what he's been doing, and stuff like that. And sometimes it's hard to keep the conversation going. And that you get that awkward silence. Now it's cool if we're silent. We're good, with that. But think of things you can kind of talk about, and always ask him about stuff. And hopefully he'll ask you about your stuff.
And we were in different worlds. Mm-hmm. She was in a private school setting growing up, and I was in a public school setting. She was in college, and I had dropped out of college. But there were still, we still had ties because of our friends and because we were both followers of Christ. So there was still something there that kind of, we had things in common that we could talk about. And I'm just goofy. I like to have fun. Even when we got pulled over by the state trooper. And he was like, "Do you realize how fast you were going?" And I was like, "No, sir, I don't." Boy, my father-in-law was going to be upset. He's a police officer. He said, "Okay." And I was thinking maybe that'd get me off the hook, but it didn't. But I didn't get a ticket. And that night I asked Mr. Mike, I said, "If I got a ticket, could you help me out?" He said, "Yeah, I'll show you where to go pay it." I was like, that wasn't what I was looking for.
You did tell Dad that, didn't you?
I did. And he did. He said, "I'll show you where to go pay it." But When we first started dating, I was like any other guy. I was trying to impress her, and I don't know if she ever bought into the fact that, maybe I was something special. But when I asked her the question, what do you want to do? Whatever she wanted, we would have done. Just because I wanted her to be happy. And pretty much to this day, whatever she wants to do, I'm down with it just because I want her to be happy. But dates were, I don't know that they were ever awkward. Maybe we had a couple of awkward dates, like when we were ending a relationship and starting again.
That was kind of strange when one of us was kind of headed, that was your fault, first time around. And that does get kind of weird, kind of weirded out.
And that would kind of lead to another point here. How do you end a relationship that you know isn't right?
I don't think we did it the right way. Well, how do we do that? He just left the first time around. I didn't hear from him for a while.
I can't remember. I mean, I
do. You mean refresh your memory?
No,
okay.
I remember the breakup, but I don't. We were on a break.
Now, we didn't really break up.
We just
the first time
quit communicating completely. And I started seeing someone else, and she started seeing someone else, and I ran into her mother and father at a mall. And both of them were like, oh, we miss you. Even Mr. Mike, Mr. Bad Boys, what you gonna do? He's like, I'm just seeing you around, boy. And I was like, well, I realized then I had really messed up. And I was like, well, I miss seeing you guys too. Hope everything's good. And then I don't remember how the second episode started, but we started seeing each other again. And we rocked on for about 6 months. And then she broke up with me. And I knew something was going down because I was sitting at her house. Nope. This was when we got back together. After the first episode, I was sitting at her house, and the guy that she had been dating had called, and she went in and took the phone call. It was in the kitchen, and she was in the kitchen talking to her beau at the time. And so she came in and sat down and said, "Was that your boyfriend?" And she just looked at me, and her jaw just fell agape. And she said,
"We had some awkward times."
Yeah. I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you realize I'm the one." I don't know that I said that. Should have said that. That was really good. But we started dating again, and then she broke up with me.
Yeah.
Sent me a packing, and then
had to find myself.
Yeah. And
that's weird.
Then it was probably 6 or 7 months later that she was working at a football game, and I went down to the football game with one of my friends, and she stood and talked to my friend the whole time. But then I went and called her.
Was that payphone?
Payphone.
From a payphone.
Called her from payphone. You used to walk up and there was this telephone that you put a quarter in and you would dial the number. So I called her from a payphone and just said, "Hey, I was just wondering if you'd like to go do something sometime." And she's like, "Uh-huh."
And then I had to call my friend from a payphone to let her know what was going on. Because girls, we do that.
That was before cell phones.
Yeah. I had my mom in the car with me too.
Wasn't awkward at all.
Nope, not awkward. But that's one of the things. I am not good on ending, really any of my relationships, because when I would end them, I would just kind of not talk, not communicate, and sometimes I wouldn't turn mean, but I wouldn't be nice. And I guess I was hoping they would kind of get the hint, and I did that when I didn't know kind of what to do. I don't like conflict or confrontation, and so I never went up and said, "Okay, they need to break up," but I would just kind of let them go. I never did that the right way. Even us breaking up, I don't think we were forthcoming, that's a big word, with each other. And I think you should. And I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I think that's why I didn't just say, "Hey, I think we need to take a break, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I kind of handled it in the wrong way.
You got to be honest with them. There's no point in dragging it out if it's not working. Because if you drag it out, you can convince yourself that everything's okay, even when it's not. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But if you're not happy, you're not going to be able to make them happy. And one of the questions that we were asked is, what do you do when you're with your forever soulmate and you aren't happy, but they are? Okay, let's go back to the forever soulmate. If you're already married in a relationship, you should be okay with each other. But if you're not happy in the relationship, you're not putting your all into it, and so your relationship's going to get stagnant. You're not going to continue to grow closer to each other.
And you're kind of controlling the situation at that point, aren't you?
And just, I think, what was the girl that sang, "Set me free, why don't you, babe"? Is that Kylie Minogue? No. I don't remember who it was. But she says, "But you don't really love me, you just keep me hanging on." And that's no relationship. So just be honest with them. Say, "Hey, I don't think this was working."
And it's hard.
And they might go, "Well, yes, it is, baby, baby, baby." You know, no, it's not.
Let's just be friends.
Listen to your heart. It's deceitful above all things. That would have messed that song up completely.
That would have been good, though.
She didn't read the Bible because it says the heart's deceitful above all.
Who can know it?
All right. Now, next question. Do you want to read one or should I?
No, I'm going to do that one.
Okay.
Best thing to do on dates.
Go on them.
Yeah. And like I said, you don't have to go far, far away. Do you remember going to see With Honors? We went to Ruby Tuesdays and we went to see With Honors.
Yeah.
And there was a wreck and you got out and we're going to help the people. Do you remember that?
Yes. Car flipped on its side.
And you jumped out and told me to stay in the car like I was going to get out.
Stay in the car, on the ball.
Like I was going to get out.
Like I would have known what to do. Everything okay? Yeah, we flipped our car on the side. Okay. I'm going to go get... He said some guy in a black car pulled out in front of us. I said, "Well, I got a black car, but it wasn't me." What to do on a date?
We did a lot of movies. Be careful what you see on a movie. I mean, we were fine. We did normal.
Yeah, we watched 8 Seconds and I cried.
Oh, and Bed of Roses, because
I
I'd seen it the
cried.
night before.
So, and depending on where you are,
Yeah.
if you're in a rural area like we are, we didn't have a whole lot of options. I mean, it was go into a town, a city that's got a theater and something to eat. We would do that a good bit, but there comes a time where you just get tired of
Going out to eat and going to the movies.
You run out of things to watch in the movies. You run out of restaurants you want to go eat. So, we like to stay at our parents' house. They had cable. So that was neat for me. And we would sit there and watch cable television. It was CMT, and there would be lawnmower races and swamp buggy races late at night. But also, as our relationship developed, I started developing a deeper relationship with her parents as well, and just sitting around talking with them and cutting up. That, I enjoyed that.
Did they ever bring out the slides?
No.
Oh, good.
Never did.
Because they've done that before.
With your boyfriend?
That's very embarrassing. I mean, like the slide projector and the trays.
Never got that.
Well, they're probably still somewhere there. We could do that.
But we did. We liked to color. We would cook occasionally.
Yeah, we would, wouldn't we?
We cooked some. We would go outside. It snowed one time, and I drove up there in the snow, which is unheard of in the state of Alabama. Driving in snow, one having snow and two driving in it. But we got up there and we played in the snow. And
yeah, John Michael did stuff with us. My brother did stuff
we hung out
with
with
us.
our brother a good bit.
You ever double date with him?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay.
A couple times.
And then we would just, get together and you just talk. Now, as we got older and our relationship progressed, it was to like reading test. I need some help. I need you to help me type this, or it was my first year of teaching too, and we were still dating, and so that threw everything into it. I don't know what, trying to do all that kind of stuff. So.
And then it was, "Hey, I've got to speak at a youth rally. You want to go?"
Yes, we went to many youth rallies.
She'd get drugged to youth rallies. Now, "Hi, my name's Kenny, and it's good to be with you tonight. Come on."
And that was a long time ago. And so today, just to enjoy, don't think you always have to go somewhere.
Well, and one of the big differences today is teenagers go out throughout the week, not necessarily on dates, but they'll drive to a mall or they'll drive out of town to have dinner. And that was something we didn't do. We, I guess, didn't have the money to do it, but also, I grew up in a time where when school was over, you came home from school and you didn't go to your friend's house and hang out, or you didn't get together and have a birthday party during the week. Special occasions were weekend things. So I was a yard boy. I got up at 4 o'clock every morning and went to cut grass. So we didn't do a whole lot during the week. And then on weekends, I was still working 6 days a week. I guess 7 days a week because I was working at a church too. But we cut grass 6 days a week. And so Friday nights, I would leave her house about 2 o'clock and get up at 4 and go cut grass all day.
We were older.
Yes.
And Mom and Dad were there.
We were at her parents'
And my
house,
brother.
and her parents were there, and his monitor thingy would go off, and he'd come running out, throwing guns on, and taking off out the door. So I was very respectful. Yeah. So,
I saw one in here. How do I keep someone interested in me? That is a loaded question. If you,
Butterfinger candy bars and Coca-Cola.
especially if you have a headache, which I have a headache, so can
I'll
you
go
give me
get
something?
you one.
And if you have to really, really, really work to keep somebody interested in you, you need to reevaluate that situation. Now, you don't, how do I say that? You want to be you, okay? But don't come across as the, how do I say this? You don't want to be the, I don't really care what I look like, I don't really care what I say type you, if that makes any sense. I mean, you need to show the person how you are, but don't, if you have to work and work and work so that this person will like you, that's not going to get it. I think I went around the world in that one. I didn't answer it.
Yeah.
Why don't you go for it? They need to like you for you.
Why are you working so hard to make that person like you? If you've got to work, if you've got to try to constantly do different things that's out of your character just so that person would like you, then they're not going out with you. They're going out with the person they want you to be. You've got to be you. And like she said, to an extent.
Yeah.
I was a country boy. I had my friends that I hung out with. But when it came time for she and I to start developing our relationship, those things weren't as important to me. And I wouldn't expose her to some of the folks that I would run around with because she didn't need to be around that. And, you know, it changed the way I was. But if you're having to work to make that person like you, you're just...
Why are you doing that?
It's strictly about you. If you're having to change everything about you so that person would like you, it's because you feel so self-conscious about yourself and so worthless that you're willing to change whatever it is just so you can be seen with that person, just so you would be able to go to your friends and say, I had a date. And that's very petty.
And that's letting the other person control the situation. You know, you're letting that person, because then you'll think, I have to do this to keep, to keep that person interested in constantly doing things, and that person's calling all the shots, and that's not healthy at all. Go for it.
How far is too far? I can't answer that. Here's why I can't answer that. Whatever answer I would give you for that, you would want to get your toe against that line. You would want to get as close to that line of no-no as you could. And anytime you're pushing yourself to the limit as far as right from wrong, you're going to start doing wrong because you can't get to the edge of it and not jump in. So I can't say how far is too far. If you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, you know how far is too far. Anything that's not appropriate in the eyes of God, then you shouldn't be involved in. Is it wrong for you to kiss on a date? I don't think so. But the thing I've always told our students is, guys, if you have to wonder as you're thinking about your next move, if she's going to smack you, then you don't need to approach that area, Because
you got to think there are consequences to what you do and how far you go. And those consequences can follow you through life. Yeah. So if you're wondering like, oh, is this okay or this okay, then it might not be.
And that's another thing to kind of let you know if you're ready to date or not. Are you self-controlled? Can you control what you're doing with your body? And a lot of times, how do I keep somebody interested in me? A lot of times people will do things with their body to keep the other person interested in them. And you're just throwing away a beautiful gift that God's given you. So,
and getting a reputation in the process.
Yeah, and possibly getting some luggage.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
STDs, sexually transmitted disease, it's not worth it. So.
And there was something I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was.
But it was good, too.
Yeah, it was. Okay. So, back in the day, in the 90s, I read this book. Well, actually, it's a whole series of books. And the main character talked about writing out, like, her goals for dating.
Hey, Christy.
Yeah, so I know you know this story. Oh, it was a great series. There's like lots of books. Anyway, and it really makes you think. Why? What are my goals? If you've thought about it ahead of time and you've got something written down or something you've thought about, And dating, it's a whole lot easier to kind of stick with that instead of at the spur of the moment trying to go, well, should I do this? And why would I go out with this person? You know, to have, and I like to write things down. So that's kind of neat. Think about it ahead of time. Listen, if you're not ready to date, that's fine. I was older when I started dating because we did, 7th, 8th grade, I'd still just soon hit a boy than like a boy, you know. So it, you know, and you change, and times have changed from that would have been the 80s, you know, to that. Don't be in a hurry to grow up because you've got the rest of your life to be old like us. So just enjoy this time you have now. And you never know what can come out of your friendships that you are developing. And don't rush it into from a friendship to a relationship, like boy-girl relationship, that type of thing. Just enjoy.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we've been doing dating seminars for years. I've been a youth minister for 25 years plus, so we've done a lot of date talks, and we could talk for hours and hours. We've talked 47 minutes tonight, so this might not end up on YouTube. It might have to go to our personal website, and then you can go to a YouTube video, and it will link you over to this. But biggest thing about dating is don't be afraid to date, but don't think you have to date, and date the right way.
I get tickled. I used to ask my parents what it was like, how they met each other. Interesting story. And that could be something you could talk to your parents about, because the way my mom met my dad, my mama was pushing my niece in the stroller and had her hair in curlers and everything. I think she's wearing culottes too. And then she met my dad, and she captured my dad's attention, you know. And that's a way that you can kind of talk to your parents and see what dating was like for them. And you can learn from them what to do, maybe what not to do. And it's awkward. It is an awkward time, you know, but you can enjoy it. But you need to have priorities.
Don't date based on what your friends say they do on dates.
Yeah.
You date based on what you feel you should do on dates. So I'm done. You got anything else you want to say?
I could just keep talking, but I can't.
Just rattle.
But you love me for it.
I do.
Because it'd be all up, just you up here.
Nobody wants that. So anyway, have fun dating, but don't let that be the greatest thing in your life. If you put God first, your relationships are going to be good. So
don't let dating define you. There's more.
That's good. You should have just stopped with "Don't let dating define you."
Hang on. Don't let dating define you. I gave him the eyebrow too.
Did you?
Yeah. What? Did I let dating define me?
No. Did you give him the eyebrow?
I did. Don't let dating define you.
Sometimes she does this. So anyway, love God. You don't remember it, do you?
Love me. I'm just kidding.
Love God.
Love people.
And be better.
Are we supposed to do that
I can't
together?
reach the camera. I tell you what, we'll do it with this.
Okay.
Now you're going to see us vlogging through this broken camera.
Where am I supposed to look?
Look right here.
Okay.
Love God.
Love people.
And be better. And that's when you reach up. That's when you reach up.
Oh.
There you go.